Awakened Radio Network is brought to you by our sponsors. Visit and let them know you heard about them here on the Awakened Radio Network. Do you have health and medical problems the regular medical system cannot seem to figure out how to fix? If the answer is yes, then check out rifeenergymedicine.com. That is Rife spelled R-I-F-E. rifeenergymedicine.com for a new way to approach many of your health problems. rifeenergymedicine.com. Are you looking for a fun and easy and productive way to promote and advertise your personally owned business? If so, the Awakened Radio Network just might have the solution for you. Visit awakenedradio.net and look up under our products and services tab. Or add Awakened Radio to your Skype contact and send Donna Devane, the station owner, a message. Or you can add DonnaDevane@gmail.com to your email contacts and send Donna an email letting her know that you would like to set a time to go over how to advertise your business in a way that makes getting sales easy without the struggle and a whole lot of fun. Do you have a message, something that just burns within you that you couldn't stop talking about even if someone offered to pay you to? Well, you just might be the type of host that we're looking for here on the Awakened Radio Network. Add Awakened Radio to your Skype contacts or send Donna Devane, the station owner, a message, DonnaDevane@gmail.com. And let's set up a time to talk and see if you and Awakened Radio Network are on the same consciousness wavelength. We might can work together and provide a win-win where your message goes out on our airwaves, reaching our global listeners, bringing fun, self-growth, and a whole lot of excitement to both your life and the Awakened Radio family.
Hello and welcome to Evolutionary Women Radio Show with Pernilla Lillerose, where authentic feminine power is making a difference in the world. Hello, my friends, and welcome to Evolutionary Women Radio. Today, Tuesday, this is your host, Pernilla Lillerose, and I'm happy to be here with you again. I had so much fun last week with the topic of rising in consciousness that I want to continue with it. It's kind of it's been working me all week, and I want to share some more about that. It's pretty much the same, but it's just keep going deeper into areas, because in my experience, when we really, really get that whole concept about consciousness and where we park our consciousness, I'm going to use that term. It's like we park our consciousness somewhere, thoughts, feelings, outer experiences, whatever, and that's kind of where it gets stuck in a way, and then we don't have the freedom to bring it to the areas that really matter in our life. Not to say that these other things don't matter, but if we get stuck there, we're stuck. You know, you can't really move. So we'll go deeper into that today. Before we start, I just want to invite you to come to the chat room if you are at a computer and are able to do that. If you're driving, of course, please keep putting your attention on your driving. But otherwise, you're welcome to come to the chat room, which is right here on awakenedradio.net/live chat room. And you can always call in. That number is 334-649-7204. And I really want to make you aware or let you know that this is available for you And I'm here for you. I want to support you in areas where you might be stuck or unclear. One of the things that I do is really help people cut through to clarity. That's what I do in my private work with clients. And sometimes I have a sharp sword, but it's always covered in love and hearts, dripping loving hearts, so that when we do cut through, you'll know it's done with love and it's going to help liberate you. It's powerful to have somebody support you in that. I have always received support, and that's why I want to make myself available here on the radio show. If you have any questions, any concerns, or any sharings, just to connect would be wonderful. So just know that. Just call in at 334-649-7204. And the way I want to start today's show is by reading an email that I got yesterday from somebody who actually did call in on my show last week. And I want you to just know what happened with her. And it's a very beautiful email. When I got it yesterday, I emailed her back and said, is it okay for me to share that on the show? And she said it is. She won't be here today, but she said it's totally okay. So I want to just share this with you, and then you can understand what can actually happen when you put to practice what I'm sharing with you here, what I'm doing with my own life, what I'm doing with myself, with my clients, with those who really want to meet these places inside of themselves. And it can make a huge difference. And it is something we need to make a daily practice as long as we need to. It's not something you do one time. Unless you're lucky that it might be this one hit, where you go, oh my gosh, you see it, and then you're done. Hey, it happens. It does happen. Most of the time it doesn't happen that way. And I'm willing to believe that it's going to happen more and more like that, so that I don't get stuck in some old paradigm where things have to be hard and slow and you have to effort a lot and it's a struggle. You can feel that energy that we are slowly moving out of, and it's like getting yourself out of taffy. You're stuck in it and it's like, oh, get me out of here. And that's how it has been. But it doesn't have to continue like that. There might still be areas, there might be a lot of us where there still is a slowness in the moving out of the old, or there might be a popping out of it and then you find yourself back in it again. That's how it is. That's the process. Let's just acknowledge that that's how it still is for many of us. But let's also acknowledge that we are getting more and more out of the stuckness, which means that things are going to move more swiftly. That's what's happening also. So instead of trying to think it should be one way or the other, because it is not, let's just acknowledge that we are somewhere mid between the old and the new, or somewhere in there. I don't know where. And, for some of us, it takes a little longer to get out of certain patterns. And for others, it's like one little swift jump and you're out. And then hallelujah, then you can just flutter around and liberate others with your newfound consciousness and energy. So anyway, let me just read this beautiful email to you. She says, I was lying in bed and suddenly I saw a big should. I should be relaxed and easy because I'm already 53 years old and I should have learned how to do that. And because I already spent so much time in my life looking at myself, meditating and go to spiritual meetings or masters, and I should be relaxed and easy because that is how enlightened people live and are. And because being relaxed and easy is the goal. Seeing the should, she says, I also saw that it wasn't true. I saw that it was something that I had assumed. I saw how this belief is giving me a lot of stress. Believing I should be relaxed and easy, and seeing that I'm not, made me start working to change the situation. Always being busy with trying to undo what is, trying to change. I see now how much stress that gives me. So something changed. The stress the stress that I put on top is much less now. And when stress is here, I let it be. Or I try to rest with it, or run with it, if that is the only thing I can do at the moment. But I'm certainly more aware of it. And there is a certain joy in me of having seen it, and more being at home. And immediately after seeing the should, I saw a lot of things in my life I didn't like. And I could just say to myself that I didn't like these things, but at the same time, not feeling the burden anymore of having to change them. And just knowing that my life is not perfect and that that is okay. It just feels good. And I see how easy the idea of having to change things comes in again, also in disguise. For instance, the idea now that I have to sit with the stress because then it will get less. So that's again doing something to make it get less. And that is not the way. And then she says about sitting in stillness. I sat down and looked again and said to myself, there's absolutely nothing here, and I still don't know if that is what it is all about. But what I did suddenly realize or see is that at this place, peace arises, and joy, and well-being. It brings tears to my eyes. It's miraculous. This understanding or seeing is new to me. Thank you, Pernille, for the fact that you're talking about this, because it really brings a lot of gifts to me. Lots of love, kisses and warm hugs. So I think that is such a testimony of what actually can happen when you learn to allow, which is what we always talk about here, allowing. When you learn to allow whatever it is that's going on, whether it's a situation in your outer life, whether it's a thought or a feeling inside of your inner experience, it is learning to take off your hands and trying to make it different, or trying to get rid of it, or trying to resist it. That is where either the hell realm or the heaven realm can lie. It's in our grasping or pushing away or identifying with it. That's where the change will happen, when we learn to take our hands off. And this is very challenging, because that's all we have ever known, is to get in there and try to make things happen. It's part of being a human being. There is nothing wrong with it. That's how it's been for many years for all of us. And we're all moving out of that realm. We're moving out of the efforting, the human efforting realm, into the realm of grace. And it's that step from human efforting to grace. That is the bridge that I call allowing, where we slowly take off our hands trying to change whatever situation we don't like. Learn to just let it be there. When you let it be there by allowing, you actually create a space. Suddenly there is space. And this is what I just shared in this email. That's where she started experiencing peace. She says, I see that is this place peace arises and joy and well-being. Not because the situation changed, not because she was doing anything with the situation that she didn't like. She just took her hands off and let it be there. Just looked at it, just allowed it. And bingo, peace is there, joy is there, well-being is there, because that is already here, all the time and everywhere. But as long as our attention goes to trying to change a situation or change our own inner experience, emotions, thoughts, we are missing the peace, the joy, the well-being that is all around us, all inside of us. It's here. We are that. But our attention goes away from that, trying to create something or change something in the outer or in the inner, so we can experience peace and joy and well-being. But it doesn't work that way. We already are it. So the challenge is for all of us, and I'm part of this. This is my own learning process every single day, is to take my hands off and just allow what is. And then I start experiencing this spaciousness, this peace. From here, action will happen. Okay? I'm not encouraging anybody to become couch potatoes or spiritual bypassers or, just passive bystanders. If you see something going on in life that needs your attention, because there is plenty of it. And I think most of you know me well enough by now that I'm not a spiritual bypasser. I'm not a passive bystander. But I am encouraging us to take our, let's call it our emotional attachment to having it be different. That is kind of where we, instead of liberating consciousness in ourselves or in our situation, people around us, instead of liberating consciousness, we are adding to the stuckness, the stickiness, through our emotional attachment. You see? That's how we try to change, to resist, to whatever it is. And I loved how she also wrote that there's times where when the stress, sometimes she can let it be or try to rest with it or, allow it. And then other times she says, or run with it, if that is the only thing I can do. And this is really important because there are times where you cannot allow it to just be, because you are spinning around in the whirlwind with it. And it's very hard, if not impossible, to let it be when you are in the spinning of it. But what you can do is just spin with it. Take as much of your trying to change it out of it as you can, so you just go with it. And in that going with it, you will learn a lot, you will see a lot, and you know what? Suddenly you will find yourself outside of the spinning, observing it. And so it is just learning to not resist or change or grasp. That's where your liberation will happen. So today, where I'm going to talk more about, well, I already am, I guess, the rising in consciousness. What I wrote about yesterday in my newsletter is I called it Raising Consciousness or Raising Hell. And it was one of these funny little metaphors that came to me, and I thought it was kind of cute. But what are we doing? Huh? What are you doing? Are you raising consciousness, or are you raising hell? And when I say raise hell, I know you can go out there and, really raise hell and go against everything and, protest. And I really think protesting is fantastic, but it has to be done from a place of presence inside. Then you can go out and do all the protesting that you want, because you are bringing new consciousness to the protesting. You see, you're not bringing old consciousness, which is resisting, fighting, efforting. That is that's contraction, that's stuckness. You want to liberate your consciousness so that it can flow freely out through you and as you, and affect all those around you. Then you are raising consciousness. So by all means, if you are somebody who wants to go out there and protest or do things, I really think it's wonderful, and I have so much respect for people who go out there because they really want to say no to what is not right. But as long as we can do it from a place of consciousness, from a place of presence, then we bring the change. Then we are the change that we are looking for out there, and everything is going to be affected by it. Even if you may not see the results right away, don't worry about that. Just keep doing it. You may touch somebody who's standing right next to you without even talking, and this person suddenly feels something shifting inside, and they don't know why. They just notice, like, oh wow, I'm really loud right now, I'm really yelling, like, why don't I just take a breath and just feel myself for a moment, right? That could happen to a person who's standing next to you without you ever knowing it. And this is going to change the consciousness of this person, and then this person is going to bring a different consciousness to whatever. I'm just saying a demonstration. It can be anything. And it is anything. It's just learning to allow what is. And I know for most of us, it's very hard to allow painful emotions inside of ourselves. I see it happening all the time. When I talked a few weeks ago about, listening and learning how to listen, I think I shared there that many times when I talk to people, it feels like I'm talking to an emotional body. They are just talking, and they go very fast. It's very hard to interrupt or to say something, to communicate. It's almost like it's a monologue from many people that comes from the emotional body. It's hard to have a conversation with them because you can't really get a word in. And this is only because they are identified with the emotional body, right? Their consciousness is stuck in an emotion that they're not aware of. And that's why everything they say and do is done through this emotion. This emotion is not free. This emotion is not going to help raise consciousness. In a way you can say it's raising hell, because when you're stuck in an emotion, you're kind of in hell. You're not happy, right? There's something that, like, it wants to be seen, it wants to be heard, it wants to be loved, it wants to be right? There's all these emotional energies that are stuck in there. And we are not going to make a big difference in the world, because those people who are doing things in the world that we don't like, that we know are not right, it's because they are stuck in some kind of an emotional pattern, in emotional trauma from the past, in emotional belief or identity that they are not even aware of. And they're bringing it to the world, trying to get something to help this relax. I can just take it one step deeper now. If you think about, the people who are doing a lot of not so good things in the world. There's the wars, there's the GMO, there's the pollution, there's so many things. And these people are deeply stuck in an emotional pattern, in an emotional pain or trauma that they are not aware of. And they believe that by, having a war, or, whether it's for money or for oil or whatever it is for, there is a deep unconscious belief in them that winning the war, or having all the money in the world, or having all the oil available so they can control the world, there is a deep belief that these people will find peace, safety, and happiness when they have that. And it's kind of sad, isn't it? It's hard to reach somebody who is in a deep, deep emotional traumatic pain that is being acted out the way many things are in the world. So I want to always come back to the fact that we need to raise consciousness. When more and more of us raise in consciousness inside of ourselves first, we have an impact on the world. We make a difference in the world, whether we know it or not. It is so powerful, my friends, it's so powerful. But we need to be that consciousness. We need to be that liberated consciousness in order to make a difference, in order for that consciousness to flow freely through us and as us into this third dimension, to help raise the vibration so that more and more people will feel it, benefit from it, and be changed by it. So this is very, very strong in my heart, that this is a very, very powerful thing to happen for us all to raise in consciousness. And the only way we can raise in consciousness ourselves is by liberating the areas where our consciousness is stuck in the cement, like I talked about last time. If it's stuck in an emotional pattern, in an identity, in a belief, it's hard to allow it to rise and make a difference in the world just by being it. You can just think if there's anything you want to share with me. We're going to go on a break in just a moment here. I would love to hear from you. Either you can call in at 334-649-7204, or you can also chat in the live chat room. And, anything, if you feel stuck in an area, if you have a question, I'll do my very best to answer it and help you if I can. I don't have all the answers in the world, but I have some experience that I might be able to support you with. And if you want to learn a little more about what it is that I do, besides being a radio host, you can always go to my website, and that website is www.lillarose.com, spelled LILLAROSE.com. And please browse around. If you feel moved to go take a next step, you can always sign up for one of my free 30-minute discovery sessions, where we can explore some of these things together and find out where you feel stuck, where you want to be, where you want to go, and what might be getting in your way, and what kind of support you need. So take your time with that, and we're going to go on a little break now, and I will be right back, and we'll continue this wonderful conversation.
We are awakened. Come and join our love.
You are listening to the Awakened Radio Network. Online radio all the time. Live talk about really important issues. Visit our website at awakenedradio.net, where you will discover who's on when, talking about what. We all live chat room, and many other ways for you to be involved in helping us get the message of self-empowerment to the world. Thank you for listening to the Awakened Radio Network at awakenradio.net.
Welcome back to Evolutionary Women Radio, where authentic feminine power is making a difference in the world. Thank you for joining and listening. This is your host, Pernilla Little Rose, and this show is brought to you by Women Standing for Love. Welcome back. Welcome back, my friends, to Evolutionary Women Radio Show with your host, Pernilla Little Rose. And we'll continue our little talk about raising consciousness or raising hell. When we talk about that our consciousness is stuck in cement or seems to be stuck, of course consciousness cannot be stuck, right? Consciousness is. It just is. It allows everything to be. It's everywhere. It's everything. So it can't be stuck. But there is something in the way we move in and as consciousness that has prevented us to just fully move freely with it. Like I just talked about, we park our consciousness in a certain way of being. And then we get stuck in it because we go over it and over it and over it and think that that's all there is. I don't think we necessarily do it consciously, although sometimes we do, but a lot of it is done unconsciously. And to make it conscious is very, very powerful, because when you realize that you have parked or embedded your consciousness in a very limited way of being, of a limited way of feeling, expressing, experiencing, expecting. When you see that, then you have an opportunity to expand more, to liberate that part of your consciousness that was embedded in that specific thought pattern. There is a way you can become aware of it, and I can just share a little bit about it here. If you want to learn a little more, try it out more, you can always go and order my meditation and mindfulness CD set, and you can get that on my website. I think it's the second CD in that set. There's 6 of them, where I take you on this little journey, and where you can start seeing, you'll start learning to unhook from your thoughts. It's like a detaching, making space between it so you can start seeing it. And when I teach meditation at UCSC here in Santa Cruz, when I do that meditation or that exercise with the students, it's always so revealing what they share at the end of that meditation, because they suddenly become aware of their specific, unique flavor of stuckness or of parking their consciousness. And I remember there was one student once, he shared, he says, I noticed that I keep going to feeling miserable. I think that was the word he used. He noticed, once he started becoming aware of it, he noticed that he always landed or parked his consciousness in a state of feeling miserable. And he was laughing about it. This is so ridiculous and so revealing when you see it. But he didn't even know it. There was a part of him that just felt miserable or suffering or something like that all the time, and he didn't really know it. So now there was like, oh my God, look where I go all the time. So it's very, very revealing. One way you can do that is by, you can sit down. We're not going to do it right now, but you can do that afterwards. You can just sit down and pick one thing that is that you want to focus your consciousness on, that you want to focus on. It could be your breath, which is a very good one when you start meditating. You may have a mantra. It can be anything. It could be a candle, or you could just sit in nature and just maybe look at a flower or a tree or something where you simply choose to only focus on one thing. And you might notice that within 2 seconds, if you're lucky 10 seconds or 30 or 60, then you're like almost a master, I think. You'll notice that you keep falling back into a specific thought pattern. And if instead of doing that unconsciously, this exercise is going to help you make it conscious. And if you can do this without judging yourself, without trying to not do it, this is just maybe a 5 or 10 minute exercise where you simply sit down and you focus on one specific thing. And then you have another part of your consciousness looking at, well, where do I end up all the time? Because you'll find yourself ending up either on, your to-do list, or what somebody said to you, or, things that you don't like about yourself, or, paying the bills, or something like that. You will find yourself falling back into that parking space over and over. So this exercise is not to judge you for that. It is simply to make you aware of what happens unconsciously. So if you decided to, well, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to focus on my breath for the next 30 minutes. I say that's great. And if you can do that, you are a master. Most minds are so ingrained in a certain way of thinking or believing or feeling that it doesn't take more than a few seconds to fall right back into that place. So if I can give you some steps here, the first step is to become aware of your parking space. Where do you park your consciousness all the time without even knowing it? And if you're listening in, I would love for you to call in and share that with me, or you can chat in and see if there's anything that you are aware of already or are becoming aware of as we're talking about it. And then seeing it and deciding that you don't want to do that anymore is usually not enough. So first you become aware of your unique flavor of your parking space and of the cement that you're cemented into, that holds your consciousness stuck there. Right? Where do you park your consciousness by default? Pretty revealing stuff, I tell ya. And once you are aware of your specific flavor of cement or your specific parking space, now you can start, how should I say that? Now we need to find out how to get out of that parking space and stay out, right? It's not like it's enough to know it. Now we want to find out, well, what's going to get you out of there for more than 2 or 15 or 30 seconds? How can you liberate your consciousness that somehow feels stuck in that specific pattern, right? You may just get out of it for a second, but there's so much cement on you that you go boom, you fall right back, and you're back in that same space. So we want to find out, how I would suggest this is how can we dissolve this cement so that you can get out and stay out? What kind of solvent do you need? Because you have to remember the mind and the thoughts. They're very tricky and they're very sticky. So you have to be, this from the Bible, you have to be wise as a serpent and gentle as a dove. Oh, wow. Thank you. That just came flying right in here from above. You need to be wise as a serpent because the mind is so tricky. So you need to be wise. You need to be able to know. See, when it's unconscious, you don't even know and you can't do anything about it. So you need to become wiser and know, well, what is it? And then once you know that, you have to really keep an eye on it. And then you have to be gentle like a dove. And you need to find out, well, how can I dissolve this stickiness, this stuckness of the cement? How do I get out of there? How do I stay out? And I don't have one answer for you. I could say I have one general answer, and that's why I wrote my book a number of years ago called Imagine Being Kind to Yourself. Because without kindness towards ourselves, we are not going to get out of the cement, because the cement is made of our lack of kindness to ourselves. So one very, very important part of this process is to really start cultivating a kindness, a love, a gentleness towards yourself, the gentleness of the dove. You need to develop that. You need to be willing to start learning how to do that, because otherwise you go back into the default mode, back to the old parking space, where your consciousness is deeply cemented in a lot of unkind, harsh, critical, judgmental cement. And by adding more of it, you're not going to get out of it. There is a place where you might need a very sharp sword to just crack the cement, so you can't get out, or a chisel to simply break it up. And that could be part of the solvent for some of us, for some of the time, for certain situations, but that's not the only tool. And if that's the only tool you have, you're not going to get out of it. You might get some cracks, but you might hurt yourself in the process. So again, you need to be wise as a serpent and gentle as a dove in order to learn how to dissolve this cement. I have done this myself for so many years, and I know I have used many, many different tools. Sometimes, like I say, sometimes I needed to get my sword out, a very sharp sword with a strong no at the end. It was just like if I had this onslaught of mean thoughts that would tell me how terrible I was, or how, lousy and unlovable and la 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 la, I needed to slam the door on them, and I have done that a number of times once I became aware of them. While they were still unconscious, they were running the show, and I had no choice, no chance to ever get out of there. They were in my home. The door was wide open, and they were inside of me, and they were running the show. So when I became aware of it, then I suddenly had a choice, and I started exercising that choice. And one big part of it at times is to say no, slam the door on them. And when they keep coming in, I keep slamming the door. It was like, no, and really, really strong. And that built up a muscle in me to keep the door closed to abusive thoughts, which was, of course, also people, because it's really the same thing. It was the way I was letting myself be abused inside that was being reflected on the outside by letting abusive people be not kind to me. So I was building a muscle inside of myself to say no to abusive thoughts, abusive situations. And for a while it was very good for me to be very strong and forceful about it in myself. You see, I was taking a stand for myself. I was standing up for myself. And I was simply saying, enough is enough. I'm not going to put up with this anymore. And it takes a lot of strength to do that. And it's very, very empowering, because it helped me standing up from kind of being in a collapsed place inside to stand up straight in myself, protecting myself from abusive thoughts, helping myself get out of the cement, the stuckness of the cement, where I was letting these abusive thoughts have the best of me. You see, I was just like down in this cement, and I couldn't get up because I felt so stuck in it. So by having many times outside people help me, that could be a coach, a therapist, a teacher, it can be anything, a friend, they might just have done it for me for a while so that I could learn to do that for myself. You see, so that is one way of how the solvent can work. But it's not the only way. There's many, many ways. Since then, I have used many times kindness to myself has been my main tool. And it has worked miracles. But see, when you're being kind to yourself, that means that you're saying no to abuse, whether it's an abusive thought or an abusive person or situation. That's being kind to myself, to not let anybody treat me that way anymore, because I was the one allowing it. That's why I have to be the one who says no to it. You see? So saying no, having a sharp sword, slamming the door on abuse, that was a way where I was starting to be kind to myself and saying yes to myself, saying yes to what was true for me. So what else can you do? You can have somebody be there with you and just share something with you that is more true than what your thoughts have been telling you. In the work that I do as a Komi practitioner, we often use probes. And a probe is often kind of an opposing statement of what you realize that the client or student is engaged in the cement inside of their consciousness. So it's almost like the solvent is the opposite of what you believe in your consciousness. And that, just saying it one time is usually not going to dissolve it, trust me. That again, it will become an ongoing process where the person lets it in a little at a time. If you have been starving for food for many years or for lifetimes, who knows, it's no good throwing you a raw steak because your body can't digest it. I've been using the metaphor of it's like a bird mom, when she gives her little bird babies food, they get pre-digested worms, right? They chew the worms, so they're easy to digest for the little baby bird, so that their digestive system can become able to digest more and more stronger, better food. So when we have a belief, for instance, that we don't deserve to be loved, for me to say to you, you're lovable, is not going to go in. You can't digest it. But we can bite size it, just like the baby bird gets little pre-digested food. We can do that. So we can do it in a way so you can take in a little bit. It could be just a loving look. It could be, maybe I could put my hand on your hand for a moment so you can start feeling what it's like to actually have somebody be there for you and allow it in a little bit, so you learn to take it in a little bit and a little bit. And then your digestive system, your emotional digestive system becomes more used to taking in more. And then eventually you don't need it from the outside anymore. You can still have it and enjoy it. I'm not saying you shouldn't have it, but you can start taking it in and digest it, and now you can give it to yourself. Those are just a few of the ways to get out of stuck cement, to dissolve the cement. Another way is using the tapping. You may have heard of EFT, or emotional freedom technique, which I've used for years. Very, very powerful way to dissolve the cement. You see, so everything we do here is to dissolve the cement that your consciousness is stuck in, so that you can, instead of being taking all your actions, speaking whatever you talk from a place of stuck emotional cement, you're not helping raise consciousness in the world, which it so desperately needs right now. We need people who can lift in consciousness by being the lifted consciousness themselves. And in that, we will just go out and do things in the world that we cannot do in the same way as long as we're stuck. So I hope that's helpful to give you some ideas about what you can do. Maybe as we're talking about this today, maybe you're becoming aware of some things in yourself that you realize, oh, you know what, this would actually help me relax a little bit. This would help soften the hard edges of the cement so that I can liberate part of my consciousness a little bit. I don't think we're all going to fly out, as liberated birds right away in one setting, but we can start liberating the hardened edges that we live in, the contracted, limited belief systems that we live by and that we don't even know. And then little by little, our consciousness becomes more liberated, and then it will inform you what to do from a place of love, from a place of giving, from a place of clarity. And then you will bring that to whatever situation you were trying to change before by resisting it. And it didn't work, did it? It's bringing contraction and stuckness to a situation is not going to make it rise in consciousness. It may change in form, but it's still going to be in that same contracted state. And we want to liberate the contraction. We want to liberate it into its own fullness so that consciousness can rise, so that the frequency that we live in can rise and it can affect everybody around us. So it's important to remember that consciousness itself cannot be stuck. Consciousness just is. It just is. It allows what is. It just allows what is to be what it is. Just like the ocean allows the fish, the waves, the currents, the temperature, sharks, sardines, whales, it allows everything just to be there as it is. And that's why the ocean, it can just go with everything. Boom. And so when we allow things to be as they are, then we are the liberated consciousness. This liberated consciousness will inform us because it informs itself when it's not being restricted. It just moves as free-flowing water. It knows exactly where to go to as long as we are not the ones trying to hold it back by focusing on the contractions and being stuck in the cement. So our consciousness is there, but if we want to benefit from the freedom, the joy, the peace, the well-being of the consciousness that we are, we need to learn to focus our attention on our own consciousness. You see, so the more you can rise out of the cement with your consciousness, now you can focus the consciousness on consciousness itself. I hope that makes sense. And there's a little from Dove and Butterfly. Let me just see what she says. Pernilla, thank you. I wrote down the steps, and they are wonderful tools to add to my toolbox. Thank you so much. That's great. Let me know next time how it goes, okay? I'd love to hear about it. I mean, I really appreciate, the email that I shared with you, because it shows what impact it has when you take these steps seriously and you incorporate them in your life. So, so to just take this in and see what area of your consciousness is embedded or stuck in a certain way of being, believing, feeling, acting. And is there any way you can help liberate that part of yourself through one of the ways that I shared here with you? This is pretty much what I wrote about in my e-zine yesterday. If you are not receiving usually my weekly e-zine, sometimes every other week, feel free to go to my website again and just sign up in the box there. My website is lillarose.com, LILLAROSE, and then you receive that, and then you'll be informed. You can then what we're going to talk about today, and if you have anything you want to share, you can just email me and just be more involved. I would love that, because the more people that I can touch by being this, that makes me happy. Then I know I'm in the flow, because the flow is flowing me anyway, and it's wonderful to get the feedback through that email, through people writing to me or Facebooking me. It's wonderful. It just fills me up, and I would love to keep sharing with you in that way. And it looks like we're getting close to the end again. It always goes so fast. Next week, I may or may not be able to have a live show. If I'm not, because I'm traveling, I'm going to visit my family in Denmark. And I am actually arriving next Tuesday, sometime in the afternoon, their time. They're 9 hours ahead of us. So I just have to find out if I'm too jet lagged, if I'm even in a place where I can get my computer out and turn my Skype on, or if I'm too tired. If I'm not able to, then there will just be a rebroadcast that Donna will put on, and so please still stay tuned. And the following week is New Year's Eve, which is not New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve, which is when I'm actually spending with my family, so I won't be there for sure on that one. So either I will be here next week, and I may not know till last minute, and for sure I'll be back on the following, let's see, after Christmas. That will be the 31st. So I wish you all a wonderful holiday, if I'm not talking with you next week. And I hope you take this to heart and start liberating your cement and liberating your consciousness, and start raising consciousness in your life, in the world, because that's what we're here for, isn't it? My friends, if you want to learn more, please go to my website. It's been wonderful to be here with you today, and I wish you all a beautiful, beautiful holiday. Much, much love to you all.
Cause we're awakened, you won't catch us sleeping through the fight. And like we're all eyes open, showing our inside and light so bright. We are awakened, come and join our love, it's so right. If you could feel what we feel now, you'd be a leader filled with might. Cause we're awakened, you won't catch us sleeping through the fight. And like we're all eyes open, showing our inside and light so bright. We are awakened, cause we're awakened, you won't catch us sleeping through the fight. And like we're all eyes open, showing our inside and light so bright. We are awakened.